Hello to all. My name is Tay Chang. I am the intern coordinator for the Department of Secondary. And so I have created a video showing you how to become an intern. So to start off with, these are the first these are the 6 steps that you need to complete in order to be an intern. So we will go a little bit more deeper into each and every one of these, and it is quite a lengthy process. Step 1 talks about the application process. So starting off, what you will want to do is you will want to make sure you are in our credential program. That's the first thing you want to do. So if you are not one of our current students trying to transfer over, you will first need to be in our credential program. You will need to apply, and the best way to apply is by clicking on this link, which is our credential office, and that shows you how to apply to our credential program. Just by clicking here, this is our credential office, and it will show you the process that it takes in order to be a credential student. Okay, continuing on. After you have been admitted to the traditional program, the next step that you will want to do is step 2. You will want to set up a meeting with me. I am free to meet with you guys in person, over the phone, via we can email back and forth, or via Zoom. So I'm available in any of those manners, whatever is the most comfortable for you. And there are some requirements that you have to have during this process. 1, you need to make sure that you have a valid fingerprint clearance from the CTC. You need to also make sure that you have subject matter requirements. There are 4 different ways that you can get that subject matter requirement met by any of these 4 items below. And then you need to have a bachelor's degree from a accredited institution. You need to make sure that you have completed the U.S. Constitution course, and there's a couple of different ways you can get that done. If you have taken a course, if you are a CSUN student, you can click on this link, and this link will tell you which courses may qualify for the U.S. Constitution. Or if you are coming from a different university, you can also select this and see what may be a substitute. You also need to make sure that you have a certain GPA in order to be in our program. And if for any reason, if you do not, then you can take classes to improve your GPA. But if you are coming from outside and you are not in our program, you're a brand new intern, you need to have a 2.5 GPA. If you are currently in our program, whether you're in the traditional or the ACT, you need to have a 3.0 in those types of classes and the credential classes. You need to then try to set up a school where you think you would be interested in working, or maybe you have a school that you have already secured and you need to be working there. Some things that are required from the school, you need to make sure that that particular school is a public school or a charter school. Private schools will not work as an intern, and you need to make sure that that particular school that you're interested in has a county district school code, which you can check on the website. You need to also check that we have an intern memorandum of understanding from that school, and if we or that school district, and if we do not, then we can set one up, but that is something that needs to be in existence before you start at that school. You need to make sure that that particular school is within 20 miles of CSUN. If it is not within 20 miles, you can ask for a special request and we will handle that on an individual basis. But generally, if you are within 20 miles and it is an accredited school, then it will typically work. Punctuality, please make sure this is talking about the punctuality at being at CSUN, because as an intern, you will be working at your school site, but that does not give you an excuse absence or tardy from making it to classes on time. We do have classes here on campus between 4 and 9:45 p.m. And so that is also part of the MOU that we talked about earlier. So when you are working at a school site, they are aware that you are taking classes as an intern, and while you're taking classes, that does not, once again, it does not give you an excuse to be late to your classes. So you will have the same obligation, and so you do need to make sure you are aware of that and your school site is aware of that. Please make sure that the school site is aware of it when you first start talking to them. The school site itself, in order to be an intern, there are different conditions that have to be met. As I stated earlier, you do want to make sure you are teaching full-time at that public or charter school, and private schools will not qualify. You also need to be the teacher on record. For example, you cannot be an aide or you cannot be a substitute. You need to be the actual teacher on record. You also have to make sure that you have a full class of at least 18 students in a regular setting. You need to make sure that you have 4 periods or 20 hours weekly or something equivalent to this in order to qualify. And lastly, you need to make sure that you are teaching in the content area that your credential is seeking. For example, these are the items, these are the different credential areas that we have listed. Okay, if you are teaching in a K through 6 setting, for example, you're teaching art or PE or other subjects that also require, and part of your job is to teach at the younger elementary settings, your first semester in the internship program, you will need to take either EED or EPC 500. Okay, so those are courses that you will need to take in your first semester, which deals with teaching younger students. Excellent. Now let's go on to step number 3. This is how you will obtain your step number 3 and step number 4, how you will obtain your letter of eligibility. As previously stated, you must be admitted both into the credential program and the university before receiving a letter of eligibility. These are the pre-service requirements, and there are 5 pre-service requirements in order for you to be eligible to be an intern. 1, these are the hours that kind of an estimate of how long it should typically take. 1, you will want to create a lesson plan, descriptions right here. You will want to also have a demonstration of your writing, a 2-page double-space reflection of how you would use English language arts in your instruction. 3, you need to prepare an assessment. And 4, you need to produce a syllabus that talks about courses that you are assigned to teach, a note to your parents, and a set of classroom rules and discipline plan. So those are 4 items that you work on your own, and as you're working on those, please do not send them to me one by one, but once you are complete with all 4 of these items, then you can send it to me in a single email. Step 5, you will need to take the Teaching English Language Learners. It is a course here at the Extended Learning, and you can contact Dr. Denise, and she will show you how to complete this course. There is a fee of $500. It is an online course, so you will be able to do it on your own time. There is another way that you can complete these 5 requirements. So if you are taking our classes, for example, if you're a transfer student or you decide, you know what, I want to join the intern program at a later point, if you take 511 and you complete 511 successfully, then you would not have to do steps 1 through 4. And also, in addition, if you take SCD 529 and 521, that would also fulfill your requirement for pre-service requirement number 5, which was this one here. So once again, if you do not want to do these 5 items and you have already done these 5 items, you can just submit and show that you have completed 511, which would take pre-service 1 through 4, and afterwards, if you take 529 and 521, then that would also take care of pre-service number 5. So there's 2 ways of doing it. But it doesn't work backwards, meaning if you complete pre-service 1 through 4, let's say, for example, you take these pre-service 1 through 4, you're complete with it, and then you cannot say, because I completed these 4, I am not going to take 511. So it doesn't work backwards. It only works in respect to you can take these, and same with the 529 and 521. Just because you complete this course does not mean that it gives you an out of 529 and 521. So hopefully that's clear. Once you have completed all of those items, then I would sign off for you down here saying that yes, you have met the pre-service requirement for a single subject intern. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Let's continue on. Now we are going to see what it takes. Now we're going to discuss our student teaching assignment. Our student teaching is student teaching, or if for interns you are teaching in your own class. As an intern, you will always need to have a university supervisor supervising you. So everyone has to take the first semester of student teaching, which is 554. The second semester of student teaching or teaching experience is 555. So with that being said, all that the I represents, it indicates that you are an intern. And once again, it's down here. The S over here is a different course, and that indicates that it is a seminar. Typically, the way most people do it, if you are an intern, you would take 554I, and that's your first field experience, and that is coupled with 554S, which is a seminar class that you would take. Then, in your very last semester of the program, you would take 555I, that's your final field experience, and your 555S could be taken anywhere in between after your first semester and all the way to your last semester. So you would take your 555S while you're taking 593, or you would take 555S while you're taking 555I. So either way you do it would work. Typically, the way we have seen it, most people will take it while they're taking the 593. Then they work on the 555S. And a big component of 555S is for individuals to help pass the EdTPA. And that is one of the areas that you need to pass before you can get your credential, whether that's in the traditional or in the intern program. Okay. So that is how the student teaching will work. Now let's go into the actual coursework. Right here talks about how do you get the actual intern authorization from your employer. So there's 2 items that you need to receive, and they can be found at this location. It is noted here, please do not copy and paste or find old forms, because they are updated on a regular basis. And so the best way to make sure you're getting the most up-to-date form is by clicking on this link. Once you click on this link, you will find this is the program. We are single subject. We click here, and here are your 2 forms that you need to obtain: the intern authorization form and the credential form. So first you would select this form, complete all the information about your about your teaching assignment, where you are located, and then once this is complete, you will email it to me. I will sign down here, give it back to you, and once it is given back to you, the next thing you will want to do is click on the next form that was here. Which is this form right here. So once this form is complete, you will select this form, complete this form, and these two forms is what you would submit to the credential office. Let me show you what this form looks like, and this is for you to fill out. And then as it states right here, after those are completed, then you will want to send them over to the credential office. Okay, we are getting closer. These are the copy. This is a snapshot of what they would look like. And after you have submitted it to the credential office via email right here, and let's go and take a look at our course sequence. This is a snapshot of what our course sequence looks like. As it states up here, you must be, as an intern, you must be in our program a minimum of 3 semesters. And if you are transferring over from the traditional or ACT program, you will be able to use those semesters that you have been in. So let's say, for example, you have been in the traditional program 1 semester, and then you decide to switch over to the intern program, and you are in our intern program. You would need to be in our intern program at least 2 semesters, which would be the equivalent of 3 semesters total. We are assuming here this is what your course load should look like, give or take, if you go from the very beginning. Let's say you're a brand new intern, you have never taken courses. This would be our recommendation. We lay it out in 2 years or 4 semesters, fall and spring. And these are our courses that we recommend. In semester 1, these are the courses that we recommend. Semester 2, here are the courses that we recommend. Semester 3, here are the courses. And semester 4, hopefully your final semester, this is what we recommend. Okay, it is a total of 49 units, and it shows you each semester how many units that load would be. And a good amount of that load is going to be your teaching experience, your field work. So for example, the 554I that we talked about earlier, this is your first initial field experience where you are teaching. That is that is where it would be 5 units and 6 observation for this particular class. And if you take a look here, typically it will tell you what is a prerequisite or a co-requisite for different courses. And so that's why we have it laid out in a certain way, so that we can make sure that you are not going to get held back, meaning in the respect that you want to take a particular class but there was a prerequisite or a co-requisite. So if you take it somewhat in this order, then you won't run into that problem. So please make sure you take a look. So for example, right here it says 529. A prerequisite or a co-requisite would be 511 and 521. So you have to take 511 as a prerequisite, and you also have to take, if you want to take it during the same semester you're taking 521, you can, but you would have to take it either before or after. Okay? So kind of lays it out for you, so it's kind of nice and simple here. And so that will give you an idea of the different courses you need to take. And then there is the very, very last option, which is what we call our ECHO program. It's the early completion option. We don't usually have a lot of students take us up on this particular option because it is a bit cumbersome, and it is one of those things where it's very independent and you do it on your own. But I do want to discuss it. In order to do the echo option, and the benefit of doing the echo option is if you complete 1, 2, and 3, if you can complete these 3 items, what that would allow you to do is that would allow you to go into your very last semester of student teaching. So wherever you are in the program, let's say hypothetically this is before you join our program, you do number 1 and 2, or if you do this anytime while you're in our program, if you can complete number 1, which is an exam that you have to complete, and from talking to other candidates, they say that this is not a very difficult exam, and it costs about $100, so you will want to do this first if you want to pursue the ECHO program. And then the number 2 is the one that's really difficult, and that's where you have to complete the EdTPA all by yourself before even on your very, very first attempt. So if you can complete this on your very first attempt and you pass number 1 and you meet number 3, then you would be a candidate for ECHO. Number 3 is the credential office. Once you submit all your paperwork and they admit you into the program, then you would satisfy number 3. So number 1 and number 3 are quite easy. But number 2 is the one that is quite difficult. It's very labor intensive. Generally, when most people do an EdTPA, if you're aware of it, it's anywhere between 60 to 100 written pages. You have to do videotaping of your lessons, and you have to be in a class setting. So those are things that you would have to do, and you have to pass it on the very first attempt. If you do not pass it on the very first attempt, then you would no longer be an ECHO candidate. And if you were to be able to fulfill all 3, then that jumps you to the very, very last semester of your program. And in your final semester, you would simply take this course, your 555I, that's your second field experience, and you would need to take 514 if you have not done so already. So these are the last 2 items you would have to complete, and then you would get your preliminary credential. So that is the ECHO program. Okay. I know that we talk quite a bit, and it is quite extensive, so please feel free to contact me if you need any clarification. Thank you very much, and I look forward to discussing this with you in detail.